Big Cal and welcome to my world. Today I have another recent video game pickups video. So we shall get started with some handheld games that I got. Firstly, for the original Game Boy, Kirby's Dream Land. Loved this game as a kid, so happy to finally have it again. I actually just realised that the only Kirby games I actually own are the two for the Wii and the one for the Wii U. I don't own any of the older ones. The NES and SNES ones can be quite expensive nowadays, but I was very lucky to get this nice and cheap. And the only thing that was wrong with it, that made it acceptable condition rather than very good, which I think it is that there was a green label stuck on the back with the guy's name on it. Yeah, that was easy to get off, so very happy to finally have that game. Then I bought a bundle of Game Boy Advance games. Were incredibly cheap. One of them very happy to get, especially for that price. First is Go Beckham. It was in the bundle. I didn't want this one, but it's there. And I guess I was expecting a crappy little football game, but no, it's a weird, like, puzzle platformer game where you use the ball to attack enemies, collect items, break things down. It's actually rather amusing, you know, not too bad. Not something I'd really play again, I suppose, but it's not awful to have in the collection, I guess. And if you remember the last one, I got the Crash and Spyro Super Pack Volume 1 because I wanted the Crash 2 game. This bundle I had 2 and 3 with it. So the Super Pack Volume 2 has Crash Nitro Kart, which isn't a bad racer game. I only really care for the first Crash Team Racing game. After that I didn't really bother with them much. But Nitro Kart is kind of fun, it's cool to have in a handheld. And then there's Spyro 2 Season of Flame. I suppose that'll be the one that goes with Season of Ice that was on the first one. So that's Super Pack Volume 2. And then Super Pack Volume 3 is the Crash and Spyro Fusion games. I already own the Crash Fusion, but now we own the Spyro Fusion as well, and they're both on one cartridge, and yeah, whatever. Not a big fan of those ones, to be honest, but the game I really wanted in the bundle, and I got all 4 of the Game Boy Advance games for £5. Doom 2. Yeah, so immensely cheap getting this for a £5 with 3 other games. And I am so surprised by just how well this runs on a Game Boy Advance. It looks fantastic, it plays fantastic, it is great. It really is. So if you get the chance to get either Doom 1 or Doom 2 on the Game Boy Advance, pick them up. They are really, really good. Okay, for the PSP, it's not actually a game, it's a UMD video, but I bought it anyway because it was cheap, and it is the Family Guy Blue Harvest episode. It was the first of the trilogy that they did for the Star Wars parodies. So this is A New Hope. Blue Harvest was of course the working title, was it for Return of the Jedi? So that, you know, people wouldn't, oh my god, Star Wars is filming, let's go stand and stare and watch it. So that's what that is. It's a very funny episode. The entire trilogy is very good. I don't actually know if the other 2 came out on the PSP or not, but if they did, I'll have to pick them up. Next is a PlayStation 1 game, and it is a rather excellent game, Resident Evil 2. This was the game I was waiting on when the last video came out. I was hoping it would show up and then I could do the video with this in it. It arrived 3 days later, so here it is now. And with owning Resident Evil 2 now, I own the first 4 Resident Evil games across 3 console generations. I own Resident Evil 1 on the GameCube, the remake, 2 and 3 on the PlayStation 1, and Resident Evil 4 on the Nintendo Wii. Got a bunch of PlayStation 2 and Xbox games now. Firstly, we have Shadow of Rome. Shadow of Rome is a hack and slash style game set in, of course, Roman times. And it's not too bad at the moment, but it does feel very slow and very sluggish compared to the God of War and Bayonetta games that are just so good at that style. But it is quite fun, I played just through basically the first sort of tutorial stage and had fun, you know, beating people up with swords and maces. So I'll definitely play through that at some point in time. Next, American Chopper. I already own the first game, but it's on PC. I got the second game, Full Throttle, on the PS2 a while back, so I just wanted to have the first one as well on the PlayStation 2. It's so-so. I did play through quite a bit of it on the PC years ago, but the second game definitely starts off stronger. This one kind of starts off a little bit dull, but once you get into it, it gets more fun. It's not the greatest game, but if you're a fan of the TV show when it was airing, it's kind of cool to get the games, and they are dirt cheap. Another hack and slash game now, except this one is actually very good. It's a lot faster. I recently got Devil May Cry 1 to try it out, and it didn't really impress me too much. Devil May Cry 3, on the other hand, is a monstrous step up. For starters, the combat is just so fast and smooth. It's definitely sort of more on par with the Bayonetta and God of War games in that way. Again, I only really played through the first little stage bit just to record the game footage, but it was a hell of a lot of fun, and I'm definitely going to be playing this very soon. Another hack and slash style game, The Mark of Cree, or Cry. I don't know, I never actually heard it said. I kind of just skipped through the story just so I could get into the gameplay to record the footage, and I spent about 20 minutes just on the tutorial. The actual combat system seems a little more in-depth than some of the other games, which is actually quite cool, but it did mean that the tutorial was lasting forever and I did kind of get bored, because I just wanted to record footage of me slashing things to death. But it's definitely a game, again, that I will really want to get into. At some point in time I might do a bunch of videos on hack and slash games, so definitely play through that. Okay, the next two games is one for the PlayStation 2 and then one for the Xbox, and this brings up my total of wrestling games to 81 now. First is Def Jam Vendetta. Now, they are all about a bunch of Def Jam artists, you know, sort of rap and hippie-hoppy style people. I don't really know them, I don't like that music. But yeah, it's a bunch of them, and basically it's essentially a wrestling game. Yeah. It really is. You've got punches and kicks, and you've got grapple moves and a ton of wrestling moves that have all got their own different unique names, and then crazy finishes for them all. So I finally picked it up to add to my wrestling game collection, and it does get quite a lot of praise. So hopefully it won't be a disappointment. I just played a one-on-one match straight away without knowing the controls, and just sort of let the CPU beat me up just so I could have some decent footage to show. And the same could be said for Def Jam Fight for New York. I had no idea what to do with it, so just let the CPU beat the shit out of me. But, you know, it's a sequel to the game, so I'm guessing more people to choose from, and just more improved in ways. So again, another wrestling game to add to the collection, and that one's for the Xbox. Next is Alien Hominid. This was based on, was it Newgrounds? You know, that Flash site, you know, Flash games. It's a side-scrolling shooter, brutal as hell. Got a full game release on the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. Don't think it came out on the GameCube. It is hard as fuck, but a ton of fun. It's got that cool Flash visual style. Very worth picking up. Very worth picking up. It's worth picking up. Let's just say that. Okay, next, again for the Xbox, is 13. A game I've been looking at for a while, just I don't know, for whatever reason never picked up. It's a cool cel-shaded style shooting game with sort of like comic strips, you know, for the cutscenes and things like that, and crazy, you know, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta for the gunfire and shit, and it kind of like playing at a comic book, really. It's a lot of fun, but I did have a little trouble playing with it first, because I'm so used to, with shooters, you know, them all sort of having the same control layout. This one's a little bit different, it just sort of confused me slightly. but it definitely looks like a really fun game. Glad to finally own it. Next we have Fable: The Lost Chapters. I already own the original Fable on the Xbox. Now this one is basically the same game but expanded. It's basically like an expansion pack, and they've included it with the main game. So you have all the original content from Fable, plus a few other cities, more quests, more story, more characters and things like that. So definitely when I get around to finally playing through Fable, I'll be playing through this version of it, which has, you know, all the same content and more. Burnout 3 Takedown. The Burnout series was always so much fun. I've got the original Burnout on the GameCube, I've got Burnout Legends, I think it is, on the PSP, Burnout Paradise City on the PC, and Burnout 3 to add to it. It's just more crazy Burnout fun. And finally, the last game here, also for the Xbox, another Burnout, and it's Burnout Revenge. This one is insane. I just did the first sort of level. There didn't appear to be a way for me to just sort of like get into a random race or anything, just a single player. It sort of jumped you straight into the missions, and the mission wasn't a normal race. It was literally smash into as many cars as possible. Every time you smash into a car, as well as getting points that you have to rack up, you will also gain a little bit of extra time. So you just have to keep going as long as possible. And I went for quite a while for my first time, and I had so much fun with it, and I hope the rest of the game is similar in style to that. So those were all my recent video game pickups. Hope you enjoyed them. I'm bigcal. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.